With the Heisman Awards ceremony tonight at 8 p.m., I thought that it would be a fun thing to do to compare Aidan Hutchinson and CJ Stroud. Now, as ludicrous as that sounds, as Aidan Hutchinson is a defensive end and Stroud is a quarterback, it's Ohio State versus Michigan. It's the off season. It's something fun to do. And even though we all know Bryce Young will likely win this, I thought it'd be kind of cool. So, after this video is over, after you watch the whole thing through, what I want you, the viewer, to do is tell me down below, after I say what I have to say, who you would vote for to be the winner if you had to choose between these two. So, let's get right into it. So, Aidan Hutchinson, obviously, defensive end from Michigan. He's a senior from Plymouth, Michigan. He is 6'6", 265 pounds. And, I mean, he's quite the character, quite the guy. And CJ Stroud, on the other hand, freshman, 6'3", 215 pounds. He's from California. So just a little bit of a background for those guys. Stroud had never taken he had never thrown a pass, a collegiate pass, before this season. Aidan Hutchinson was injured last year. I think he was a starter in 2019, but didn't nearly have the same numbers that he did this year. And speaking of numbers, here are the stats. So the numbers are Aidan Hutchinson, defensive end for the University of Michigan, 58 tackles, 15 tackles for loss, 14 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. He is second in sacks nationally, only behind Will Anderson, who's arguably, along with Kenneth Walker, one of the bigger Heisman snubs. Aidan Hutchinson also sacked CJ Stroud 3 times. 3 of those sacks were on CJ Stroud and against Ohio State, so keep that in mind. He also had a big day against Penn State, had a big day against Michigan State. He only sacked Spencer Petras in Iowa once. He's been getting better as the season progresses. He's been talked about a lot more recently than in the beginning of the year, like against Western Michigan, Washington, and Northern Illinois, where he wasn't doing as much, which is interesting to me because as the competition gets better, Hutchinson does more, which is interesting, which I think shows that he's getting better as the year, goes on and on. He's peaking, just like his team is, at the right time. CJ Stroud, on the other hand, has been basically doing the same thing. His team, you could argue, has been pretty steady all year, losing to Oregon and losing to Michigan, but Stroud has been getting better as well as the year goes on. He's passed for 3,862 yards, completes 70.9% of his passes, has thrown for 38 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions, and has a 182.2 passer rating, which is second in the nation behind Grayson McCall. So first in Power 5 rankings. Because Grayson McCall, Coastal Carolina, what he's done is impressive, and he doesn't have as good of a supporting cast. He also faces far inferior competition. Stroud passed for nearly 400 yards and passed for 2 touchdowns against Michigan as well. He also did pretty good against Penn State. He lit it up against a horrible pass defense in Michigan State, who was a top 10 team, so that does help resume-wise, despite Michigan State's bad pass defense. He even did well against Oregon. I mean, Stroud has really done, even in games where he's been listed as a bad QB, CJ Stroud has done remarkably well. It's a fact. Both of these guys are overachievers. They were together in New York City for the Heisman ceremony yesterday, and there's an article by Cleveland.com. I'm going to link it below, and both of them were just saying, all things aside, we're just 2 guys who just enjoy football, and it's nice to talk to each other, set the rivalry for now aside, and we're just two dudes who enjoy football and are living it up, is what Aidan Hutchinson said. So, I mean, these guys have immense character. They're good players. They're both future NFL players. I have no doubts about that. Stroud is definitely going to be returning next year. I think he was the freshman of the year. Correct me if I am wrong on that, but I think he was. Hutchinson was the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year and the Rotary Lombardi Award winner. So those are just some standout awards that both of them earned. And that's it, surprisingly. So personally, as a Michigan fan, look, I appreciate that Aidan Hutchinson is there. He has had a very good year. And listen, there's a huge chance he'll be taken first overall as well. He's not going to be opting out of the playoffs or anything. He's a team guy who is all in. And CJ Stroud, what more can I say? Very impressive, freshman QB. He's already has a bright future. And it's like, seriously, he's a good QB. You could argue that he is as good or better than Bryce Young, or vice versa. No doubts about it. CJ Stroud didn't struggle against Auburn for 3.5 quarters. He didn't struggle to beat LSU and a bunch of other measly, weaker, SEC West teams compared to some of the stronger Big Ten East teams that Stroud still effectively passed against. So that's really all I have to say here, because it's just talking about stats, giving a little bit of my own personal opinion. There's not much more to talk about here. So this is it. And again, now that you have heard me say everything, looked at the stats, you can find them online anywhere. Who would be your winner? Tell me down below, and tell me your thoughts on these guys as well. Like, where do you think Aidan Hutchinson will be drafted? Do you think CJ Stroud will win the Heisman next year if he doesn't win it this year? I love having conversations, so tell me that stuff down below. And if you haven't already, please give this video a like, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can be notified when I post a video or even go live. I'm possibly going to go live. More than likely, I will have a live watch party for the Army-Navy game, as that's the only FBS game on this Saturday. It's sad that the season is almost already over, but it was a very enjoyable season for me and for a lot of people. So again, tell me your winner between these two down below. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button, comment your thoughts down below. Thank you all for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys around.